Okay, my name is Bobby Vaught. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you so choose. This is lesson number 19 in a series that I've done. I haven't done a lesson in a while, so this is 19. Lesson number 19, everything you need to know to understand investing, okay? And I'll put a link to lesson 1 in the description below. So if you're new to this channel and you want to just go through the whole thing, go back to lesson 1, and then each lesson has a link to the next one. So lesson 1 has a link to lesson 2, which has a link to lesson 3, so on and so forth, to make sure this is enough light. And so on and so forth, so that make them all real easy to find, okay? And I'll put a link to lesson 1 in the description below. All right, so I came across something today, and like I said, it's been a while since I did lesson 18. Now this is lesson 19, which we're going to call Have Realistic Expectations About What's in Your Portfolio. Roughly, I don't know when it was, a couple of months or so ago, a month or two ago, I made a video about the SCHD ETF, the Schwab Dividend Growth ETF, which I like. If I own it. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't own it. So I want to clarify that before I get into this, because what I'm about to say is not a criticism of SCHD. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't own it, okay? I am, however, saying you need to have realistic expectations about what's in your portfolio. So I came across this video just a couple hours ago. This is from some guy named, he goes by the name Seven Figure Dividends, okay? It says
if you guys want to go through it.
Says he's been investing for about, I think at one point he said a little more than a decade, about 10 years, something like that. I've been investing for 39 years. And one thing I can tell you is, I can tell you a lot of things. It's the whole purpose of this series, everything you need to know to understand investing. One of the things I can tell you is you need to have realistic expectations about what's in your portfolio. Okay, I have everything on a spreadsheet. My spreadsheet is, I developed it years ago, got everything exactly the way I wanted it. My spreadsheet is my income statement, my cash flow statement, balance sheet. I don't have any debt. And also a budget. I have 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20-year budgets. I mean, as far as the eye can see. That's the way I've always done it. And I factor in, estimate costs in there, factoring in inflation, and also factoring in realistic dividend growth rates of what's in my portfolio. I own individual stocks as well as 2 ETFs, FDVV, and the other one being SCHD. Okay, so I want you to listen to what this guy says here, and we're going to go through a couple of things. All right, goes by the name Seven Figure Dividends. This is the kind of stuff that just drives me nuts sometimes.
Numbers and why I personally think after 2,000 shares invested into this ETF, you can pretty much drift off into the sunset because the numbers look insane based off of the previous performance. All to say that if you
stop right there. After 2,000 shares owning SCHD, you can pretty much drift off into the sunset based on past performance. Okay. The past performance is what we're going to look at is the dividend growth rate. I talked a lot about the importance of the dividend growth rate in previous videos. An ETF like SCHD is a little different in this sense. It's important to look at the dividend growth rate, but you don't buy something like SCHD for the same reasons that you would buy some high-flying tech stock or whatever. Okay, risk and reward are two sides of the same coin. You take one with the other. You buy SCHD to sleep well at night. That's the reason. Okay. But in any event, if you're treating it like this guy is treating like something like you're going to buy 2,000 shares and then run off into the sunset, or however he phrased it, good luck with that. Okay. Now he goes on to explain that he's looking at his past performance. He's looking at, one of the things he's looking at is about an 11% dividend growth rate since the inception of SCHD, roughly about 14 and a half years ago. I'm making this on May the 17th of 2026, which is true. It had a great dividend growth rate of about 10 to 11%. historically, there hasn't, 15 years really isn't a lot of history to look at. But in any event, this is what I was getting towards when I say you need to have realistic expectations about, in this case, the dividend growth rate of SCHD. Okay? You just take a look at it's not going to be 11% or 10%, a dividend growth rate. Okay, first off, the current yield, as I'm making this on May 17th, 2026, current yield of SCHD is about, what is it? Right now it's 3.33%. Good. Okay, it's holdings. Now look at this carefully, okay? Top holding, Texas Instruments. About 6% of the portfolio of SCHD. I happen to think that's probably a little too much. They'll probably rebalance that over the next couple of months. But in any event, Texas Instruments, TXN, and we're not looking at the current yield here, we're looking at the dividend growth rate. Very important. Okay, Texas Instruments, dividend growth rate, 4.46% dividend growth rate. Okay, what else we got here? Let's keep going. Qualcomm, ticker symbol QCOM, dividend growth rate, 4.36%. Next one. These are the top holdings in the portfolio. United Health, a stock I owned at one time, did real well for me. I don't own it now because it was having some issues. But in any event, United Health, it could be a good buy again at some point. I don't happen to currently own it. Dividends, dividend growth rate, 5.24%. Getting the picture yet? Okay, let's keep going. Coca-Cola. Do you think Coca-Cola has a dividend growth rate of 11%? Yeah, good luck with that. Nothing wrong with owning Coca-Cola. That's not my point. Dividend growth rate, Coca-Cola, 4.52%. Let's keep going. I'm not going to go through the entire SCHD here. It would take too long. There's a lot of holdings. And now the darn calculator. Okay, here we go, finally. And the computer was running, internet wants to slow down on me here. At the wrong time, I hate that. Okay, here we go. Next one is Chevron. Okay, there's 103 holdings, SCHD. I'm obviously not going to go through every one of them. I'm just going through all the top ones here. Here's number 5, Chevron, ticker symbol CVX. What do you think the dividend growth rate of Chevron is? I'm going to take a guess. Probably about 4 to 5%. Let's call it 4.5. Let's find out. Click right there. 4.49. 4.49%. The next one, let's just do one more. That'd be enough to get the picture. Merck, pharma company, 5.06% dividend growth rate. Let me ask you a question. If the holdings in SCHD have a dividend growth rate all of around 4.5 to 5%, somewhere in that range, how do you figure the dividend growth rate of the entire ETF going forward is going to be about 10 to 11%? It won't. Don't kid yourself. Where's the money coming from? Somebody's going to figure out how to make 2 plus 3 equals 7? No. I want to do one more? Let's do one more. Just because I'm having fun with this. Merck, the 7th biggest holding in the SCHD, COP, ConocoPhillips, dividend growth rate 5.77%. Verizon, 8th biggest holding. I'm going to guess that one's probably about 2% dividend growth rate. Has a nice yield, but the company is not growing. 2.5%. Dividend yield of 6.1%. Dividend growth rate, 2.5%. Okay? All right, so you get the idea. My point being, No, let's do the financial calculator first. Let's just go through this, okay? So I'm having to use an online financial calculator here because my BA2, my Texas Instruments BA2 Plus that I had for years and years and years finally conked out on me. So I need to get another financial calculator, but that's fine. We'll use the online financial calculator here. Okay, so 2,000 shares, this guy says. You own 2,000 shares of SCHD. First off, let's see what that current income is on 2,000 shares. Very important. Dividends. It's 1.0557, something like that. Oh, here we go. Yeah, 1.0557 per share per year. That's what it is right now. Okay, so what is that? That's 2,000 times 1.0557. Okay, so right now 2,000 shares of SCHD would be earning you about $2,111.40 a year. Okay. That's money you didn't otherwise have. You're not going to retire on that, but we haven't figured out the dividend growth rate, the dividend growth yet. Okay, let's just call it maybe 5% over the next, let's say 30 years. Okay, heck with it. Make it 40. 40 years, 5% dividend growth rate. What did I say? 21,111.40, right? And using the online financial calculator because my BA2 Plus conked out on me. So after 40 years, you would have an income around and increasing about 5% per year. 2,000 shares, you would have an income of around $14,885.35. You're not going to retire on that. That's 40 years from now. Keep in mind, we haven't even factored in inflation yet. We factor in inflation, let's say, averages out maybe 3% a year over 40 years. So that means the real value of the increase in your dividends, okay, is actually increasing 2%. If they're increasing the dividend growth rate, let's say 5%, but inflation is 3%, you're increasing about 2% a year, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so let's figure it at 2%. Now you're looking at, in real value, what would that be worth 40 years from now? $4,668.68 a year. You're going to retire on that. Really? According to this guy, you are going to, 2,000 shares is going to be enough for you to write off into the sunset, or however he phrased it. And what you're going to end up with, if that's all you have, is your Social Security check and that's it. Okay?
You guys want to go through SHD with me in detail?
Why do people make videos like this? Like this
Actual
one?
numbers and why I personally think after 2,000 shares invested into this ETF, you can pretty much drift off into the sunset because the numbers look insane based off of the previous performance.
The reason, the psychology behind that, the reason people make videos like that is because they think optimism sells in investing. And in some level it probably does, but it's not going to, you're not going to retire on, you can't retire on optimism, okay? It's much better to be realistic about what you have in your portfolio, which is lesson 19. Have realistic expectations about what is in your portfolio. I'm not knocking SCHD. I happen to own it. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't own it. But have realistic expectations about what you have. Okay? 2,000 shares, you're going to, how do you phrase it again? Back that up here.
We're going to go over some of the actual numbers and why I personally think after 2,000 shares invested into this ETF, you can pretty much drift off into the sunset because the numbers look insane.
Drift off into the sunset because the numbers look insane. Yeah, good luck with that. I can tell you, first off, you need to have realistic expectations about what's in your portfolio and what it's going to do for you. Okay? I like SCHD. I'm emphasizing that again, heavily. Okay? But have realistic expectations about what you have. You're going to need a lot more than 2,000 shares of SCHD. You're going to need other investments or a lot more of that one to retire. You just are. 2,000 shares is not going to make it for you. All right, I'm going to leave it right there. But yeah, I mean, that's why people make videos like this and these unrealistic expectations, because they think optimism sells. People make videos like this and they think, oh yeah, somebody's going to hear this. I told them what they wanted to hear, what they merely desire to be true. I'm going to make them feel good, and they're going to go, subscribe. That's the reason people do stuff like that. That's the psychology behind it. Okay? In any event, I'm going to leave it right there. And like I said, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you so choose. And until next time, hope you're having a great life. Hope life is treating you well. See you next time.